Raise Nation. We're broadcasting live from San Antonio, Texas for the 9th Annual Raise Conference. I'm Dawn Lego with OneCause, and we are turning up the volume on fundraising, innovation, and inspiration, straight from the Riverwalk to the airwaves. And riding shotgun with me is my fantastic co-host, Kevin Spikerman with Auction Packages.
Thanks, Dawn. The energy here is electric. Thousands of change makers, bold strategies sparking, and fundraising strategies that will shape the future. Over the next 2 days, we'll bring the stories, the breakthroughs, and maybe even a little Texas-sized fun. Turn it up.
It's Raise Nation Radio.
Welcome back to Raise. We have the wonderful Kristen Bowles with us from the MS Society. Welcome, Kristen.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First time you've been to the Raise conference, is that correct?
It sure is.
And how has it been so far?
It's been wonderful. It's always great to network with those, within your industry, and to learn, lots of amazing things that are happening across the country in this space.
But not just attending, you also spoke this morning, is that right?
That's correct. Yes, it was my first time attending Raise and being a guest speaker this morning, which was such an honor.
Baptism by fire.
I know, right?
Jumping right in.
So let's talk about what you talked about this morning. What was the topic and how'd the session go?
So the session was called Gala Grit, turning peer, gosh, I'm going to butcher this now. It's been a long day. Turning peer power into fundraising fire.
Well, that's a mouthful, so
Yes,
it's okay.
I know.
We
Yes.
can't say it once. We definitely can say it twice.
I just said it a little while ago too. But yes, it's been a wonderfully long day so far of just kind of absorbing so much information, right? But this morning, the session went really well. At least I think so. There's some great interaction with the guests and attendees in the room, even though it was an early morning session.
What time did you start?
It was 9:20.
Oof.
Yeah. But so everybody came in with a cup of coffee, which is great. But no, we really talked about how do you kind of marry what is so wildly successful in event-based fundraising, but then also what is happening in the peer-to-peer space. There's such value in both, and we can grow our audiences, we can grow our constituents and our ambassadors by really kind of thinking strategically and creatively about those two spaces.
So is it sort of like taking influencer marketing and kind of integrating it into your event program to try to expand and make everybody an ambassador and a fundraiser, so to speak? Is that
a little bit
where I'm going?
A little bit. And so I think it just really depends on how you define ambassador, right?
Okay.
So ultimately, we want all of our constituents to be ambassadors, but not everybody is necessarily going to be your peer-to-peer fundraiser. So we talked a lot about how do you identify those that have, high capacity, but also high networks. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be the ones that are going to build those legs beneath them, so to speak, kind of what you see already happening organically in peer-to-peer fundraising. But doing that, but bringing it into an elevated event-based space, right? I use this example when I've kind of launched this in some of my, my current job and then former roles I've been in as well. But I use this perfect example. I come from peer-to-peer, so I love the peer-to-peer space, right? But endurance events aren't for everyone. I'm not about to, while I love cycling and I love swimming, I'm not going to necessarily invest in the equipment and the time to do that, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not a cyclist, but I'm also, and I'm not a runner. But, and I love a great walk event. I come from a peer-to-peer walk space as well prior to my current position. But some people don't want to get up at 7 a.m. for a walk, and that's okay, right? But what is that kind of niche market? Exactly, we can meet them where they're at, but still celebrate what they love to do so much, which is that community piece to peer-to-peer fundraising. Mm-hmm. And so taking a look at what is your existing infrastructure with your events and how can you organically weave in that peer-to-peer in a meaningful way.
So how do we do that? Let's maybe top 3 steps. What should fundraisers be thinking about?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, it's going to be evaluation. So you need to evaluate the appetite of your existing pool of donors. Second step is then going to be that identification piece. So taking a look at who are your existing constituents within, let's say you already have a very well successful event. So say, for example, a gala. Take a look at who do you already have on your committee or perhaps in your pipeline that really you can kind of bubble up to be that corporate champion, to be that ambassador, whatever elevated role and title feels authentic to your organization. And then you're going to launch. So that launch piece is going to be coaching them to a specific goal. That goal needs to be realistic and attainable and achievable, but also pie in the sky, right? We want to be thinking big about growth. And so coaching them every single step of the way and rewarding and incentivizing our donors to try something maybe a little outside of their comfort zone, a little outside of the box, but can be wildly fulfilling.
Wow.
So how much of what you're doing, I know one of your expertise is storytelling. Sure. So how does storytelling play into the peer-to-peer fundraising? Is it as important as like a gala setting where it's like a one-night event, or is it more important? Like, how does that kind of play into peer-to-peer fundraising?
That's a great question. So storytelling really should be the foundation of everything that we do. I know we hear it, we say it, but we really need to start to believe that. And harnessing stories, at least in my experience, is all about taking, our donors, our constituents, our mission stories, and just reshaping them and reframing them in ways that, speak to the masses. And that needs to be done not just in a ballroom, but it needs to extend well beyond that. So, extending your storylines, let's call them, and weaving it through social media posts, donor letters, newsletters, corporate pitches, right? That all needs to be less transactional and more conversational throughout the entire year. And that's equally important in peer-to-peer as it is in event-based fundraising.
So we're hearing that theme, I think, across all of our interviews about storytelling, getting it right, but being authentic and real. And it sounds like it transcends even peer-to-peer or any transaction. But I think our audience is a little paralyzed maybe they hear storytelling with production and how do we get, what myth do we want to bust about how they should approach what they should be doing and thinking to get this right?
That's a great question. And it's not an easy one. I understand that. And we have, I think, honestly, a perfect example is right before I sat down with y'all, I'm reviewing honoree videos for an upcoming event. And so the whole point of the honoree videos is to craft a message and a story. And of course, so much time and thought went into what were the questions we were asking those in the interview, right? It wasn't just as simple as tell your story. It's about, there are going to be folks in the audience that perhaps don't have a mission connection. So how can you share your story, your connection in a way that can resonate with everyone, even if they aren't mission connected, right? And so I think that we can really get in the weeds of overanalyzing, what you're kind of crafting that message. I say, don't get so in the weeds on that. If it pulls on your heartstrings, if you think there's something that is meaningful or matters, then that's really what we should be leading with, heart first.
So where does AI now fit into all of this, right? Because it's easy, or maybe not, to use AI the right and the wrong way. And if it just, how do you mix it all together? We want to be real. We want to be authentic, but we want to work smarter, not harder. We want to embrace AI. I just feel there's too many messages coming to nonprofits. How do they peel back all these layers and get that right mix? Because that AI does need a seat at the table. It's going to help them work smarter, not harder, get them there a little bit faster. Yeah. But how do you integrate that layer now into what you just said?
Yeah, I think, one of the, how to explain it? Somebody once told me, in a former role, You need to weave a red thread through everything that you do. Now, I worked for an organization and the thematic colors was red, so no surprise, right? But I apply it to my own position here at the MS Society, and it's weaving the orange thread through everything, right? So what is that through line? What is your kind of, I also had somebody once upon a time say to me, so what, who cares? Wonderful, that's great. You do fantastic work for an organization. I love that so much, but why should it matter to me? And so if you're constantly kind of gut checking yourself a little bit, then you can keep that meaning and that purpose as kind of your North Star. I love working with AI programs and really kind of help harnessing that story and your messaging. I don't use it as a way to solve all of my problems or answer all of the questions.
It's a tool.
Right.
It's no different than another.
Exactly. But I think as it pertains to telling our story, sharing our mission, and making sure that there's synergy in all of that without feeling kind of conflicting or too many different messages, like you said. I think that we can use those tools to really kind of zone in on what we're trying to say. And I'm not a pro at these AI tools. There are people that are far better at it than I am.
Well, there's so many.
I know,
It
but
could
I
be
do
daunting.
know that you can kind of work with it to help kind of construct your brand. And so if you are working with the tools put forth and you're able to communicate with it in such a way that you can kind of write what is the tone of your organization, what is the voice, then really anything that you're kind of crafting and messaging, you can gut check it, so to speak, with these tools. But it's exactly that. It's a buddy in the process, but it really shouldn't be, the leader in what we're doing. We need to be confident in what we're doing as fundraisers as well.
I think our listeners need to know that there's a lot of firepower coming from your seat. You ran some multi-million-dollar campaigns.
Thank you.
For some of the biggest organizations out there. What would you give somebody who's starting out in the nonprofit space? What's some advice that you would give them or give your younger self looking back on the success that you've had?
Yeah. Just go out there, be hungry, and don't be afraid to show up authentically. If you're passionate about a project, if you're passionate about a cause, an organization, that really allow that to shine, let that bleed through, and don't be afraid to take chances and to take risks. I always say things, like, look, we're going to get scrappy. We're going to get messy. We're going to get gritty. It is fundraising. It is nonprofit work. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay to be scrappy.
Yeah, the biggest message that I give my teams is message of fail forward. I actually wrote a book about it.
Oh, tell us about the book.
Okay, yes.
Please.
Yes, it's in production right now. I wasn't going to share.
Oh, my goodness. Are you allowed to share? Is that okay?
I am
you
allowed.
Can?
Yes,
Great.
ma'am.
We want to hear it.
Yes. So the message is called Fail Forward.
Fail Forward.
Fail Forward. Exactly.
Love that.
Yes. Yep. It is how, and the subheader is to how to empower your teams to get messy, make mistakes, and be wildly successful while doing it. Look, fundraising is a scrappy space. We are all figuring out as we go along. There are no rule books. And what is scary but exciting is that it's an ever-changing industry, right? We've seen that now more than ever since 2020.
Sure.
Exactly. And that can be really paralyzing, but it can also be really exciting. And so I like to build teams that are not afraid to fail forward. So we're going to learn from our mistakes. We're going to make some calculated risks. They need to be calculated, but we can be risky. But to celebrate in that learning experience and opportunity to become better fundraisers, better ambassadors, better human beings, quite frankly.
Fail Forward. When will we have that available? I assume where all fine books are sold, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Yes.
So it is going to electronic print next month.
Next month. So that is about October 2025. Okay.
Date, not 100% confident yet on, but yes, October 25. Yes, exactly.
And how does one get an advanced copy if they want?
Yes. So it will be available on my LinkedIn first and foremost. So I'll be sharing there. And then from there, we'll be sharing other platforms that it'll be posted on.
You are just going to have to be a Raise alumni and come back next year.
Like I said, a lot of firepower coming from that seat right there.
Yeah, you said it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you heard the firepower right here from Raise. We are looking forward to that book, Fail Forward. I know I'll be watching, and let's maybe see it here at next year's Raise conference for sure. More coverage coming up soon from Raise.
Christina, welcome to Raise Radio.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to
glad
be
you're here. Well, so I want to first help the audience understand a little bit about you. So you are a consultant with Command Joy. You are an attorney. You are a fundraiser. And you are here at Raise this year to be speaking about how you turn LinkedIn and Instagram into your tools of choice to really maximize fundraising. So tell us a little bit about Command Joy and what you do.
Yeah, so I am actually the CEO and founder of Command Joy Company, LLC. I started the organization about a year ago, and really what I focused on was infrastructure safety for staff and communities with organizations. So I did that work. I loved doing that work. So I'm an attorney, like you just said. For the first 8 years of my career, I was a prosecutor. And I focused on how to help women and girls be more safe. So, my work really was about domestic violence, intimate partner violence, and sexual assault. And through that journey of being a prosecutor, one thing I discovered is our policies matter, duh. So I went into policy work for a couple years, and then I really leaned into the fact that nonprofits and other mission-based organizations really are the backbone of support for survivors and marginalized communities because the government can't do it all.
Yeah.
So a part of that work that I did with nonprofits is I went to a nonprofit, it's a national nonprofit that was focused on gender-based violence in the law. And I became the chief executive of external relations, where I oversaw fundraising, communications, messaging, and partnerships for about 4.5 years. And when I started my business, like I said, I wasn't really focused on fundraising until recently. So in January, when the administration changed and a lot of nonprofits started struggling because of funding slashing, a lot of nonprofits started coming and reaching out to me asking for help with fundraising. Because like I said, I raised $11 million in 4 years. And that $11 million wasn't just government funding. It was private philanthropy fundraising. It was corporate fundraising, really because I was an accidental fundraiser. I had no idea what I was doing.
So many fundraisers are.
I just knew how to interpret what we were doing at the nonprofit legally into how people actually spoke. And I think a part of that was my training as a prosecutor because I had to be before juries explaining these huge legal concepts to regular everyday people. So after I started getting asked by nonprofits to help them, I decided to expand Command Joy and really to do some fundraising, consulting, and communications messaging because your mission needs money. You can have as much passion in the world, but without the money to power that passion, it's just a dream.
So this is your second time at Raise. We're here at the Raise conference live, and you're presenting while you're here.
Yes.
But you told me when you first sat down that you had a pretty incredible experience last year. I want to hear what happened after your conference attendance last year.
Yeah, so last year was my first time at Raise. I actually brought one of my team members with me. And one of the things we had really been struggling with is how to incorporate donor advised funds into our fundraising strategy. We knew what they were, but like most people, we were like, we know what individual giving is, but how do we unlock this part of individual giving? So we went to a session about donor advised funding, just thinking we wanted to learn more. And through the strategies that session taught us, we participated in what's called DAF Day, Donor Advised Fund Day, and raised $16,000 off of one day because of the Raise conference. I mean, how much more ROI can you get for being at a conference?
That is amazing. Well, now you're back to speak.
Yes.
You're speaking about the fact that you use social media really to increase a lot of your revenue. I want to know a little bit about this world because social media is changing fast.
Yes.
A lot of nonprofits, I think, struggle with how to maximize their social media. You have really used LinkedIn and Instagram as your tools. So what do you think in that space nonprofits should be focused on?
So I think social media is an untapped resource for nonprofits. A lot of nonprofits are scared of using social media as, well, really, period, but scared of using social media as a fundraising tool. And I think that a lot of development directors, chief executive of external relations like I was, and CEOs are afraid of putting their personal branding, mixing that with the organization's branding to build funds. So one thing that I did, because like I said, I was an accidental fundraiser, I didn't know what were the right things and the wrong things to do with fundraising. So I really boosted my LinkedIn account to make it attractive in terms of my professional self. So
your personal account was what you
my
were leveraging.
personal account is what not the organization's account. Because when you're looking at reaching out to funders, they don't really want to talk to the organization.
Right.
LinkedIn is a professional resource that is people to people.
Yeah.
So how do you as a person reach out to a funder who may not be the executive director or the CEO of that foundation, but maybe a program officer that you may have something in common with? And how would you know that? Because you're doing your grant prospecting and your research on LinkedIn. So I have been able to leverage LinkedIn in a way that has really kind of been amazing for the organization I was with and for me. From one LinkedIn DM, I got a $600,000 one-year unrestricted gift from a major foundation.
Wow.
From sending a direct message on LinkedIn, not a grant application. Not a now the process wasn't quick. It took me a year to steadily send a program officer a DM every couple of months, just saying I was thinking about the work that they are doing, and I wanted to highlight the work of my organization to them. And then one day I got a response back and they said, let's hop on the phone.
Amazing.
So I've also been able,
Congratulations.
thank you, also been able to get 5-figure gifts from foundations with the same strategy. Also have been able to highlight the work of the organization and have funders who started out as a $30,000 funder give us over $250,000 in 1 year.
Wow.
Because they were on my LinkedIn, they were liking my posts, they were commenting on my posts, and this was from my personal page.
People to people.
People to people. It's not just about sending a newsletter. It's not just about making a call. How do you leverage tools that everyday people use, like social media, to make those connections with grant funders?
Brilliant. Well, I'm excited about your session.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up today, I want to know, is there a myth out there in the fundraising nonprofit world that you feel like you could bust?
Yes.
Yep. Excellent.
There are many myths that I feel like I can bust. One of them is don't mix personal and corporate.
Sure.
Mix them.
Yeah.
It's not that you are your job, but you are the best representation of your organization online. Post what you're doing. Post where you are. Post what your organization is doing, even if you're not directly a part of it, because funders are on social media too. And what a better organic way to get on their algorithms than to actually talk about the great work that you're doing.
Such great advice. I love it. Christina, thank you for joining us. Thank you for stopping by the studio. I look forward to your session, and I hope folks check out Command Joy. Where can they find you?
www.commandjoyco.com. And you can also find me on social media.
Excellent.
On Instagram at commandjoyco.
And LinkedIn.
And of course, LinkedIn.
Okay. We'll get connected. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great conference. Thank you for tuning in today to the Fundraising Elevator, where we're all headed up.
Ready to take your fundraising to the next level? Need to get unstuck in your event planning? Now's your chance to connect directly with the experts behind the Fundraising Elevator. Book a one-on-one consulting session with Sam for strategic planning and fundraising strategy, with Kristen for your program and storytelling, or Mary for your registration and data tools. They're here to provide you personalized answers to all your event questions. Don't wait. Raise more at your next fundraising event. Book your session today at elevatenonprofit.com. You can also find the link in the show notes.
Everybody, Trevor Nelson with HEA Fundraising here at the Raise broadcast studio at the Raise conference. I'm joined by a new friend, Eric Tamales, Chief Revenue Officer of Avid. Good to meet you, brother.
Likewise.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I told you that
Super
we
fun.
have some mutual friends. Nathan Chappelle.
Oh, yeah, my guy.
Good buddy.
My guy.
Apparently, you guys travel together and all that good stuff.
All the time.
Yeah,
I'm actually introducing him here in an hour on stage.
While we're talking about that, what are you doing here at Raise? Is your first time here?
No, this is my at least fifth time at
Cool.
Raise.
Yeah.
I'm here with Avid, our new company. I was with a previous agency for a long time, and now I love everything OneCause does, and I love what they do for our community. So
Far out. Nice segue. What are y'all doing at
Avid, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So we're new to the space, but we've been here for a long time. And so we actually are an analytics company that we are the first ever fundraising operating system.
Okay.
And what we do is we aggregate all the data from a nonprofit, all their different technologies and organizations, and we put it all into one little spot so that actually visualize all the reporting tools and insights and things that you actually need to do. Okay. And then we can segment into creating audiences. But then we use AI and machine learning on the back end to deploy content through social media or email or donation pages or whatever it might be. But it's really to see that clarity through the chaos for what nonprofits go through.
Necessary. I knew the AI thing was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's here.
No, I knew it was coming. I knew that was part of what you all do.
Yeah, it's great.
You talked about fundraising.ai.
Yep.
Yeah. Give me a little bit.
So I'm on the advisory board for that.
Okay, cool.
One of the guys who helped found it back in the day. But it was what I love about fundraising AI is really we are bringing the ethical and the responsible benefit for our nonprofits. We focus our attention on what we need to do. What we wrote the framework, and really it's us. It's the entire industry. We want to listen to more consultants, more agencies, more nonprofit leaders, more tech providers, and we just be able to provide what is appropriate and be able to go there. And we have a great summit coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, talk about that, please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's a virtual summit,
Yeah.
fundraising.ai. There's a free summit for as many nonprofit leaders in the world to be able to go see. And we're bringing in the best people around AI and saying, hey, what is right for nonprofits? What should we be doing? Where should we be going and have that opportunity?
There's a lot going on. We had Nathan on our podcast recently. Wild. I listened to it a couple times, not to hear me.
Yeah.
Took copious notes.
Yeah.
I'm not projecting, but for instance, you mentioned all this on the back end and the front end, all these consultants and all these things. What advice can you give folks listening? What advice can you give the small, medium, large nonprofits to not be frightened?
Yeah.
And to not have create a situation where it's like paralysis by analysis because they're getting too much info because we're so over digitized anyway. Yeah. Once again, not projecting. These are just my thoughts, but yeah, just talk to folks about just like some good words of wisdom about that.
That's a great call out. I'm also on the Lilly School of Philanthropy on the faculty, and I teach AI and fundraising, and it's really like a 101 course. And it's like to say, hey, how are we going to break in? What are we going to do for it, and everything else? And I get that question a lot. And one of the things that I always lean in on is use it in your personal life.
Yeah.
Just get used to it.
Get acquainted with it.
Get acquainted with it.
Yeah.
I used it the other day. No joke. I'm never home. I'm always on the road. I'm always speaking. I'm always doing the thing. Yeah. But I don't like going to Costco. But Costco is a necessary evil, right? Especially on a weekend, right? Like don't go in there. And so right. And I remember my wife asked me a couple weeks ago, and she was like, "Hey, we need to get a vacuum cleaner." And it was like on the end of it was end cap. We don't need it, but she was like, she was drawn to it, and there was two of them on the end cap. She's like, "Which one do you want?" And I was like, "All I wanted to do was get out of Costco." So I took a picture of both of them and asked my ChatGPT, and I was like, "Which one do you recommend?" Yeah. And it knew my style, knew my approach, knew my personality, knew everything else. And it says, because you have two Shelties and they're long-haired dogs, and we recommend this one. And it was so easy and it was quick. It cost me $100 more because it was the more expensive one.
Thanks, chat.
Right? But it knew me. And I think that's when I started feeling comfortable with it. Yeah. And I think leaning into our work as nonprofit leaders, it's here.
Yeah.
And we can make our jobs go faster because all of our executives are telling us to do more with less. And it's here, and we can be able to embrace what is around us.
Nathan brought up, well said, and great case study of the vacuums. Nathan said something really, really prolific where he's like, donors, for instance, supporters, the community that you're creating at your organization, they're going to start looking at organizations that are resistant to using AI as if like it's 2009 and they're resistant to using the internet. Talk to folks about just how it has to be adopted. Obviously, we understand the how prolific of a tool it is for help and everything. But yeah, just like it seems like it has to be adopted.
It does. And I think the other side of that coin is like Nathan and Cherry and Koshi, who they're actually doing a co-branded newsletter. He probably talked about it in his podcast, where they actually surveyed donors and their feelings about how nonprofits are using AI, and that's coming out here shortly.
Good.
And donors want us to use it.
Yeah.
They want us to like put on our website that we are embracing it. This was written by AI. This was helping us go where we need to go. But then in the same vein, I'm a long time recovering fundraiser. I've been in this space a long time.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have gift acceptance policies to like, how are we going to receive a gift from a donor, but we don't have an AI policy. And we need to embrace that. And that's where fundraising AI can help. If you download the framework, you upload your brand and you upload the framework to ChatGPT and say, hey, write me an AI governance policy.
Yeah.
And the system can automatically do it.
Totally cool resource. And just you said like the ethical piece, which is a huge concern for so many folks in the space and whatnot. So amazing that you all are doing that work. Easiest place for folks to find you.
Find me
at Avid.
avidai.com, and please come go check it out. We're a great software tool for nonprofits who want to like grow fast and quick. We have a lot of great playbooks and campaigning tools out there, but also, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn every day. So
yeah, you're LinkedIn famous, man.
Yeah, I'm everywhere. I travel a lot. I love our industry and I love what we do, and I just want to help everybody grow.
Speaking of the industry and this conference in particular, what has Raise meant to you? Personally, as a company, all the above.
You know, I love the team at OneCause. I love what they're doing. I love the event platform. I've been to Raise so many times that I'm like super excited that there's 600 people here. I remember when it was 120. And I just think it's so cool that all of these nonprofit leaders that aren't being able to go to the bigger events, like this is their event. And it's a cool community. Very
totally.
Cool.
Yeah,
Very
one
cool.
of a kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
Yep.
Everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate you. Appreciate our guest, Eric Tamalos. It's great to meet you, brother.
Likewise.
Yeah,
nice to meet in person.
100%.
Yeah.
And check out Fundraising AI and the upcoming conference.
Awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, Trevor.
In the world of nonprofit fundraising, every moment counts. You're dedicated to your mission, but are outdated tools holding you back? OneCause is here to help streamline your efforts, elevate your donors' experience, and boost your fundraising results, all in one easy-to-use platform for events, auctions, peer-to-peer, and online giving. With our integrated tools, AI-driven innovation, and our award-winning support, get ready to save time and raise more for your mission with OneCause.